Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. I'm going to do an Easter podcast today. Even have like Easter colors on. Some of the Easter and Christmas, many times I don't go to church. So I go to church every week, like every Sunday, and sometimes other days too. I believe it's important to have a community. The community of a church is good. And then I like speakers, so I like just listen to speakers. I listen to mostly on online, people doing speeches, but a lot of the big major holidays for Christianity, like, they rub me the wrong way. Secularism, if I'm saying that right, kind of hijacked them a little bit. Although Christianity hijacked a bunch of pagan holidays anyway, and Christmas is kind of mixed with some weird things. There's a tree involved and Santa and all this Saint Nick. I don't know. And then Easter, is Esther, the fertility goddess, and all this, and that's why you have eggs and a rabbit. It's kind of weird. But the reason for the season, you always hear that from the Christians, is the certain Christian ideals. And for Easter, the big one is forgiveness. And there's the whole thing of redemption from that, and the resurrection, and then there's the blood and all this stuff. And those are all important things if you're a Christian. But I would like to, the most important thing out of all that for me is forgiveness, and asking forgiveness, and maybe even forgiving yourself. So, as a Christian, you're supposed to ask forgiveness for your sins. A sin is also funny too, where it's really what it means is to miss the mark. So meaning, like, if you're aiming for something higher than yourself, and you miss the mark, a moral perfectionism almost, which is not achievable other than Christ, if you believe in Christianity. So you miss the mark, and you're trying to ask forgiveness for those things. Now, there was a seriousness of the sin, and they would, there was a sacrifice that had to be made to cover that. And, then Christ comes along and says, no, I'm the sacrifice, and now you just need to ask for it, and it's given. You already have it. It's given. So, but what I would encourage people, even if you're a secular person that doesn't really have any belief structure, the spirit, I'm very spiritual, is a funny thing to me. Like, what does that mean? It's like a generic thing to say, like, I don't know, I believe in something. But I would encourage even an atheist to understand the importance of forgiveness and the ability to forgive others, ask for forgiveness, and forgiving yourself. So those are the three things I would say that I would recommend for everyone, Christians, non-Christians, whatever your belief system is. I don't see anyone that goes, you know what, I'll never forgive anybody for anything, and I'm so great that I don't need to ask people to forgive me. I don't need to say sorry, and I don't need to forgive myself for these things. There's 70-year-old men and women that are still holding on to stuff from their 20s, holding that for 50 years. And that's crazy to me, why you want to hold that for that? Why you want to carry that weight? There's a weight to it, and resentment and pain, and no matter how light your thing is that you got going on, the burden is still there. It's not light. It isn't. And sometimes it goes in the back of our minds, and we live our lives and we do our thing. But man, it can bubble to the surface. And I highly recommend, thinking of this time. People see it as a time for families. Oh, we'll get the families and then give kids a bunch of candy. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer with all that kind of stuff. I just want to say, maybe it's a time that you can work on to reflect on the people for the past year that maybe you did dirty. You made a mistake. You missed the mark. And maybe you can say sorry. Maybe it doesn't have to be that day. Maybe you just use that day to think about a mental inventory for the year who did I hurt? Intentionally or otherwise, who did I lie to? Who did I cheat? Who did I whatever? And even yourself, it's like, man, I did this thing and I can't get over it. And maybe you did the work and you said sorry, but you can't let it go. Like, you can't let it go. And that's the part where forgiving yourself. And, sometimes we think, oh yeah, man, these people need to say sorry, but then we forget like the dirty that we did, and everyone's done dirty. And then to say otherwise is you're lying to yourself. There's no perfect man. There's no perfect man. So, back to Jesus. They're saying Jesus was the perfect man, but there's no man walking right now or woman that's perfect. And so you screwed up. That's okay. And I would say, for me, I'm going to try to start thinking about this holiday as like a day to make amends and a day to forgive people, even if they didn't ask for it, and to let it go, and to let go forgive myself for things that I've done. And not that's like, oh, it's so easy, but like Thanksgiving is a day for being thankful. Sometimes I'm thankful for just basic things like plumbing, and we take that for granted in the United States. But I would say sometimes we take granted, to ask for forgiveness and to forgive others, and what that'll do for us if we do that. And I recommend attempting to do that in your life and seeing the changes that might happen in your life if you say sorry. And again, if you say sorry, they don't forgive you, that's not your concern, man. It would suck, but you did your part. They got to do their part. And if they don't want to do it, then that's fine. But that you at least tried to make amends and you tried to make it right, and you forgave yourself, and then you forgave others. And if you forgive others, you don't even need to contact them and tell you, hey, I forgave you. You're a piece of crap. I forgave you. No, like, maybe just let it go. Just let it go. Move on. Try to forget it. And, forgive and forget. And some people go, oh, forgive but never forget. But for what, man? The future, I want to go forward. That's some stuff in the past, and I want to get past that kind of stuff in my life, my personal life. And so anyway, that's what I'm recommending for you guys for Easter. Maybe even just take 5 minutes to go, okay, who do I need to say sorry to? Who do I need to let go of whatever happened? And then what do I need to forgive myself for? So again, a non-religious thing even. I don't think that has to be Christianity for that. And I believe Christians can do that and more focus on that. I do understand the want to think about the 3 days and all the significance of all what led up to the crucifixion and all these kind of things. But when it's gets down to it, just the nitty gritty of what Christ did was forgiveness. And man, that is so powerful. And there's no figure that I can think of that came with the psychological impact of that. And sometimes we only think of like the miracle of it, but man, the psychological miracle is pretty huge, where we always want revenge and we always want them to pay. And even the current climate of canceling people for doing things, tweeting 4 years ago when you were 17 and you're an idiot and you're saying ridiculous things, or even last year or even last month you did something stupid. I mean, if you recognize it and move on, let's move on. You know, oh man, that was a dumb thing. I had a dumb thought process at that time in my life, and please forgive me. And I said some things that I regret now. I do, and I want to move on from it. And whatever those things are, you know. And sometimes we don't want to admit that we suck sometimes, and that other people can suck, and that, you know, if you're not willing to forgive others, it's hard to ask for forgiveness, you know. And that's also part of the story as well, you know. Don't expect forgiveness when you're not willing to give it, you know. It's a give and take. It is a give and take. So keep that in mind. Forgive others, forgive yourself, and ask for forgiveness. And again, take that where you want to take it. You want to ask Christ, you want to ask your fellow man, you know, maybe both. Maybe do both. So again, I hope you guys have a great Easter and can enjoy your family. And I hope it's a great day. Phoenix is going to be hot. It's going to be 95, supposedly. Oh, well, I mean, we live in Phoenix. So anyway, God bless and peace to the world. Bye.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.